Welcome to the AI. Ready the podcast for Lucy and
Welcome to the AI Readiness Podcast, where our mission is to humanize AI, simplify, demystify, and bring you along on the adoption journey, not just ours, but other folks as well, with our special guests and anecdotes and stories and research in the field. And we want to have a laugh along the way. Is that a fair summary of our mission statement?
I think that's pretty fair, yes. This is episode 8. Thank you for listening in, or indeed for watching if you're on YouTube.
We've got special guest Rob Nathan from Media 10. He's going to come along and talk about the impact of AI from his vantage point as a managing director. He's got some interesting things to share.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Agile business. I think there'll be a lot for other MDs, CEOs to learn from there in terms of where to start their AI journey in terms of adoption. Breaking AI innovations we love to share, don't we? So we're going to be looking at the latest features, ChatGPT 4 and the new tasks that are in beta. What on earth is that? There's also a groundbreaking fund that has just been released for a new sign language ChatGPT. I'm loving that.
That's interesting.
Enhancing generative AI's reach and accessibility. I think that's hugely important.
I might stick around and listen to that bit.
Well, thank you very much. AI in action. We always talk about real world stories, and that's a really important element of this podcast. It's just not it's not just noise. Let's get that right. It's not just noise. It is practical applications. What does this mean to us in our daily lives, in our daily works, so that we can work better, smarter, and be more creative in our thinking.
Yeah, and also we're looking at how AI can actually help build leadership capability. That's quite interesting.
That's a really interesting concept, isn't it? So what you're saying is it can make us better people, better leaders, just better humans.
Which goes slightly against the narrative of like killing personalisation is killing jobs. Actually, the more you learn about it, the more it makes you a better colleague. So
the irony.
The irony. We will be digging into that irony.
Isn't it ironic?
No, Alanis, it's not ironic. It's just sort of bad luck. But I think they sort of covered that at the time. We broke the news.
I've broken it. So the first thing I wanted to kick off with was and is ChatGPT 4.0 and the new little task.
Yeah.
Feature, button, thing, layer. What do you call it?
I don't know, but they just love to just like sort of creep things into your screen. Don't you? Like you're sort of there and you're like, what's tasks? And you sort of have to investigate it a bit like the X-Files.
You do, and that is absolutely key because we're not expected to know exactly what everything is as soon as it appears. So the number one lesson and hopefully light bulb moment here is if there's something you don't know or understand, ask it. And that's exactly what I did. I said, what on earth are you? I went into it. It's in beta or beta, however you say that word. Is it beta?
I say beta because I'm an English science geek.
It's in beta mode, which means they know it's not quite right yet. And they're just gathering feedback from people using it and the performance of that. But yeah, so I asked, who are you? What do you do? What will the impact of you be to me?
I don't know.
Yeah. It said, I can't help you.
I don't know you anything. I'm just like a ChatGPT thing by some people in San Francisco. Go away.
No, but bottom line, it's going to allow users, when it works properly, to easily manage reminders and requests via the web app or through interactions with other platforms. So it's interesting. So requests or reminders. I wondered, is it going to be therefore just like a bit of a diary prompt?
I'll say it quietly. I can't say these words properly. Hey, SIRI. Can you remind me, to sort of go and beat my carpet in the garden tomorrow lunchtime? Like that's already there. Because I went into tasks in ChatGPT the minute you told me about it, had a go. It basically just sends you an email at the appropriate time. So,
it sends you an email?
Yeah, it sent me an email to my old email address, which OpenAI won't let me change because I've updated it. So bit of a niggle. It's a little bit basic, but I like the concept. Let's see how it develops. See,
I wondered whether you're going to be able to link it to a bot, for example, because one of the use case areas was so it can so you can give it a request. And so my request is, tell me what the weather is today, or tell me what the latest score of this football team is, da, da, da. And the reason that struck a chord with me, we had a participant on an AI immersion program this morning who is very actively involved in playing basketball.
Yes.
And is really keen on looking at the world basketball team performance scores, etc. And ChatGPT and Perplexity were not quite performing at the time in pulling the accurate, up-to-date information. And I just wondered anyway if this tasks would be able to, on a daily basis, give you an update on things like that.
Further exploration required, I think. Let's keep playing with it, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, it's in beta mode, so it's not quite performing. But what it did say in one of the articles I read, that users can instruct it to check for concert tickets monthly, for example. Can't book them for you, though. It's just kind of scaring. So let's say if there was a band or whoever you want to see that you don't know if they're performing in this country yet, I guess it could be kind of scouring things like that for you.
I think if you were sort of listening to the tones of our voice, you wouldn't be hearing us like basically overexcited about it. It's a thing, we're experimenting with it. But, to just pick up on what you said, like, it won't do stuff for you. Well, 2025, all the big noises in Silicon Valley are talking about 25 being the year of the agents. And if you're new to the concept, it's basically, a large language model like ChatGPT or Copilot will sort of create content and help you think, and it will do a lot of kind of abstract stuff. They don't do things. So you connect them to things like Zapier, which you can send emails and things like that at the moment, but it's all very much like you're building things and you need to be quite kind of techie and spend the time. So ChatGPT released operatives or operator a couple of weeks ago, and I excitedly logged on to have a little look, and guess what? It's available in the USA only if you are paying the $200 a month plan. So it seems like the OpenAI's approach is to launch it with people who are paying the most, really quite a small population, do a bit of testing, make sure they're happy with it, and then roll it out. So excited about testing it because fundamentally what it is they've created a new browser, like their own version of Google, which can interact with the internet, and you can task it with things like book me a restaurant on Thursday afternoon, or nip into my email and send Bob an email, that sort of stuff. So it's actually stepping into the realms of personal assistant. Massive safety thinking and concerns about it, but also insane productivity uplift. Can't wait till it's released in Europe.
Yeah, I'm just still really intrigued about how that really works, connecting to your emails. And you say book a restaurant. How has it got your credit card details? I just don't trust currently the performance. I know Copilot has launched their agents in their Copilot studio, and I just wouldn't trust it. I'm sorry. And there's a reason for that. I'll come on to that later when we talk about our adventures in AI. For me, it's noise currently.
It's yet to be useful.
Yeah. So is it interesting? Yes. Is it important to me? Not right now.
Very emphatic. All right. So what's all this £8.4 million sign language business then?
Yeah, this caught my eye because I just thought, how amazing is that? Of course, we're using ChatGPT, communicating into the tool by voice, but then often looking at the outputs to be able to help craft using our eyes and our ears. And this just goes to show that, number one, OpenAI are considering those that are less able with sight and their hearing. And it also goes to support how generative AI tools can really help support people that are less advantaged and or those that are perhaps neurodiverse. And I'd love the fact that there's a huge wad of money that has been allocated to help develop an AI translation tool for the deaf community. There has been some conversation around this historically, and I think people had previously tried to create avatars that signed based on sound, but it was
live in the conversation sort of
thing. But everybody said, look, you can't beat a human, and it's the same for everything, isn't it? Currently or historically, no, you can't beat a human who can pick up on nuances in the conversation and then perhaps display that in the way that they do in their sign. But this fund is to bring together some of the brightest minds from a tech development point of view, as well as from the various different deaf and hard of hearing associations and universities to make it happen. And I think that's really, really exciting. It ultimately goes to show if it works and they get it right, the AI is very much, a tool for inclusivity, and therefore for empowerment.
Absolutely. And I like the structured approach, because like a year ago, I had a conversation with somebody who is pretty much more or less blind. And he said, "Oh, do you think I could use ChatGPT to help me write my book?" And I was like, "Yeah, basically use voice modes, tell it it's a ghostwriter and get it to interview." And he's like, "Brilliant, I'm just going to not hire that ghostwriter now." So it helped him to sort of be included and help him. But we had to sort of discover it. What I like about this is they're going, we are going to look at a group of people living with a particular disability, and we're going to make life better.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays into the opportunity for websites to possibly incorporate an avatar or a pop-up for those that are hard of hearing, if they would like something in sign so that they can also translate and read off websites.
I wouldn't mind an avatar for me in Teams meetings that does things like eye rolls and flips people the bird, for me. Conversations in the field.
I love it when I'm in the field.
So interesting conversations. We're running an exploration day, which we seem to be doing rather a lot with organisations, with a leadership team, and the head of IT or a contractor who does IT popped up and went, "If everyone's using ChatGPT in the business, do I need to be getting more bandwidth on our internet?" And we're the sort of the human side of AI and the sort of the competency side of AI. We kind of went, "Dunno." So I did a bit of research, right? And so if you used ChatGPT for 2 hours, like quite relentlessly, you would use a litre of water. And you'd also use the amount of energy that you would take to run a light bulb for like an hour and a quarter, like a 100-watt light bulb. But in terms of bandwidth, it uses more bandwidth than just regular internet search. So our advice to this IT guy was, start small, monitor it, and just like keep an eye on the bandwidth, because you might, have a wireless access point on your roof that's melting and sort of dripping molten lava down onto people. So keep an eye on it. But I thought it was a really good question.
Yeah, and so another interesting comment and question that came up in another client workshop was around the use of bots or GPTs. Yeah. So when somebody builds their own GPT or bot, whatever you prefer to call it, which as we know is then an area that you go into on ChatGPT that has already been trained, if you like, and fueled with a knowledge base and information and the thing that you want, so you don't have to keep repeating yourself.
Yeah, good for repetitive tasks. It sort of knows what you need.
So it might be a report writer, for example, and you might have uploaded a load of historic reports that you have written, so it knows your style of writing, your tone, etc. as a base. And the question was, what happens to those bots and its knowledge if and when somebody should leave? And that was the end of that conversation. No, but it made me think, actually, there's a couple of things here. Number one, I do know the answer. Yeah. You can reuse that person's email. As we know, OpenAI doesn't let you to change an email, but what you could just do is reuse that email for the purpose of logging in if you wanted to keep those bots. You can't, or you would just cut off that person's seat and give a new seat to somebody else with their new email. Then yes, you would lose all of the bots that person had created. But the question is slightly irrelevant when I really think about it, because a bot can be rebuilt. They're not that difficult to do.
They take about 10 minutes to make, don't they, let's be honest.
And the conversations within that bot wouldn't necessarily be of value to anybody else. So I think the question actually came from somebody that wasn't quite understanding the what and the how for working with GPTs. I guess the only time it might be a little bit frustrating is if the person who left was the person who created the bot, and if they'd then shared it with everybody across the organisation and everyone was really enjoying using it, but they needed to update it.
So maybe the practical answer to that is like, if a bot's getting used a lot, monitor it and then copy it, or create a separate account, build a replica of that bot so it's just kind of there ready to use.
Yeah.
It's not like there aren't answers to it, but it's a really good question.
Thank you very much. That was a much preferred answer.
Another sort of thing from conversations in the field, like I'm really aware that when we work with a senior leadership team, we call those exploration days we do, like lighting the fire of enthusiasm. And so I am always kind of like keen to say to people, just because you're enthusiastic doesn't mean everyone else is going to be. So we came up with a phrase. Ultimately, I think as a professional psychologist, I'm trying to get famous by having a catchphrase. If I'm
Loads of phrases.
I came up with a new one called "Listen and Learn," learning and growing. Listen and learn, meaning listen. The listen bit is about going out and evangelizing, but also take the time to listen to people, because The minute you start talking about AI, you encounter resistance, like in all its myriad forms. So if you are a leader and anything about this podcast or our activities on LinkedIn, or any contact you have with AI enthusiasts, just remember, like, it's probably a good idea to go 50-50. Yes, to help lead and help people to learn the tools, but also listen to them and try and understand their resistance and what they really think.
We've all had one of those overly eager bosses that has clearly just come out of some sort of training, and then they're like, right, everybody, and everyone goes, God, Janet's been to another one of those sessions. And
when I was in learning and development, I used to say to people, be proud, say you've done a course, go out and say, be proud, I've learnt a new thing, let's try it together. AI is a bit different. There's a lot of like conversation about it's taking jobs, it's killing original, there's more resistance.
Consideration.
So we need to learn, we need to lead, and we also need to listen.
We need to listen and learn and grow.
We've all been in front of a trainer, like in the olden days, who's gone, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth,
Hopefully.
Whatever. Just listen. yeah, hopefully.
What was that? Another delightful conversation, and I'm really excited about this one. So working in the realms and the world of private equity. So these boys get involved with organisations to support their growth.
And girls.
And girls. Thank you very much for correcting me there. These guys and girls, women.
Can't say guys. I'm joking, you can. You say whatever you like.
Yeah, so private equity, their remit is to help organisations grow, whether that is for exit and sale or whether that is just to take over the world, whatever. But, I have had brief experience with this, and you often have a representative from the private equity company that would come and form part of your board because they want to listen from the private equity money perspective and to make sure that things are moving in the right direction, but also because they are highly skilled, probably investment banker background and Harvard business background, to be able to support and steer the ship.
You'd sort of pray that when that happens, if you're on the senior leadership team, they're a good one, because there's mean ones and there's good ones, so you pray for a good one.
Sure, there's all sorts, because they're people, as you said.
Indeed.
But relate this now to AI. AI is more than likely on every board conversation or topic or agenda, or should be. And is it a case of those that chair boards to support private equity and to support business growth automatically know about it, or what they should be asking for, or how they should be leading that ship? There's a real new dimension that's coming about for board members' capability.
And so we were asked by a person in that position, like, could you come up with a sort of a question deck that we can use for strategic AI conversations with senior leadership teams, and sort of tactical, sort of business as usual conversations, like, how's it going, what are the milestones? And so, like, we built a question set for both conversations, and they looked and felt like classic strategic question sets, like, what are your milestones, what are you doing to manage risk? But we all sort of pretty much understand risk with traditional business situations. You need to be AI literate to understand what the risks are from an AI perspective, right?
Absolutely.
And you also need to be able to cut through the AI wash, the AI bullshit, if for want of a better phrase, to know when you're being told something that isn't really of value.
Yeah.
So what's our position then, Lucy? Like, we're saying get AI literate. Right?
Get AI literate, because the whole board should be to be able to support each other in the conversation, because I don't think that it is a one person, it should be totally just a one person response to where we are with our AI project, adoption, integration, whatever it may be, and therefore to be able to support each other and collectively to come up with what the metrics are and what the return on investment that they're looking for and what good looks like in a sustainable way. And I think the problem here with some of these questions without AI literacy, the assumption will be more, well, when will we see the return? And these are answers that nobody knows until you start small and start going.
And as we know, like, because Ian, one of our previous guests, who's the chief data officer, was saying, there's a bit of education required for people in very senior positions. It's new technology, so you can't just go, is it going to be ready by the 31st of April, yes or no? It's not binary, it's new technology. There's an experimental side to it. So there needs to be some kind of acceptance of fuzziness, but that doesn't mean you're letting people off the hook. So it's nuanced and sophisticated, but it needs addressing, right?
And, I know I started this conversation around the PE element sitting in on the board, but it's still completely relevant to board meetings that don't have private equity involved. What are some of the questions that should be asked? Okay, it might be that the IT is leading and that they're then giving this information back, but if the rest of the team on the board aren't equipped with a level of AI literacy, then and they aren't asking some of those right questions to understand, then I suspect it's probably a load of Churchill nodding dogs around the table without any clue as to whether what's been said is accurate and correct and the direction it should be.
Yeah. Get your head around it, or get off the pot. I'm being quite bombastic today. I don't know.
Yeah, I can tell. What have you been playing with?
Well, so I don't want to get too personal, but I have a bit of a weight loss thing where I sort of hit a certain weight every now and then, and I go, oh, got to lose the weight. So I sort of operate on a sort of trigger basis. And for me, it's 83.9 kilos, which is when I go, I need to sort myself out. And so I thought, I usually use my fitness pal and I sort of document what I eat and all my exercise and that. Honestly, it's such a pain. So I thought, I wonder if ChatGPT could do it. So I couldn't create a bot because I wanted it to track things on a daily basis and always remember things. I couldn't create a folder, which is its new ability to work on sort of projects, that sort of thing. So I thought I'd just create a chat that I can go back to. Let's have a little word with it. Here we go. Hang on.
Hey there, what's on your mind?
I just ate 4 chocolate biscuits.
All right, let's log those. On average, a chocolate biscuit contains about 75 to 100 calories each.
Yeah, that was a real motivator, thanks. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it goes.
You're welcome.
But, always be experimenting, that's what I say.
I did use it for a fitness coach to give me recommendations on things that I can do from home without equipment, etc. And actually that was a really good quick fire guide to what I should be doing.
I'm going to go back into the chat and say, when I say that I've been troughing and snuffling things that I shouldn't have snuffled, can you just be compassionate and go, hey, don't be so hard on yourself? And then give me a lower estimate on calories. And then
it depends. Some people might actually like more of an abusive response. Well, if you're happy to be fatty bum bums, that might be the motivator you need.
That's it.
So each to their own, isn't it?
Hit the treadmill, you dirty pig. Yeah. How you been getting on with Copilot?
Look, I had a little session. I thought I haven't played with Copilot for a little while, and that is absolutely, outrageous. So I spent some time, I went back into it because we like to fall in love with Copilot. I'm in the web version. I'm not in Copilot that is in one of the apps. So I'm not in Word, I'm not in Outlook, I'm not in Excel, I'm in the web version. And I said to it, can you check my diary to find me a 30-minute slot for a Zoom meeting this week, please? And I remember now it was Thursday because it came back and said, you're free Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Wednesday was yesterday, so hard to imagine. And Friday, I was in an all-day workshop. So when I then said, but what about workshop X on Friday? It came back and went, well, yes. You're just free Wednesday, Thursday.
It's hard to build trust with the tools when they're so crappy.
And then, so linking that to agents, no way would I be comfortable using agents in Studio currently. Could you please book a meeting between me and John? I live in Solihull and he's in Cambridge. Could you find somewhere halfway? I would be getting a meeting with Joan and it would probably send me to Cornwall.
Yeah. I mean, it's, Microsoft Copilot, elements of it are magical. A lot of it's magical. It just needs to work.
I did go in, though, and asked it, can you find me any documents and emails that are related to company X? I was just playing around and just wanted to kind of see what it could do. Actually, that was quite good. And it didn't need the correct file name as well. So that was quite good. And I do know that a lot of people struggle with finding documents and things. So perhaps worth a go if you haven't tried to use it that way. I went back into PowerPoint. I thought I'm going to try to create a presentation that should be as simple as, this is my website. I want a 3 to 5 page max summary for a meeting presentation. Just gave it a brief kind of outline of the who and the what and the why. It went off. and produced me a 23-page presentation. It looked quite good. The photos and images were quite good, but it was 5 times more pages that I wanted. And whilst it had provided kind of headers that were relevant to the business, it was American spelling. It was totally Americanized. It had not pulled content from our website. So it was a massive mess.
So like 20 odd pages of junk.
Massive junk.
And there are people out there who go, oh, you're filling up the internet with junk. It's just junk, junk, junk. And like it sounds in this case, in spite of your best efforts, that's true.
It really was. And I tried, and I went back and said, this is what I want to do. What prompt would you, and I asked it to mark its own homework, but no, it didn't work. So I'm really sorry. I'm trying to fall in love with it. But at the moment, I nearly really don't like it.
Fair play. So, it sort of reminds me of our stance. Like, we're tool agnostic. We're trying to fall in love with Copilot because loads of businesses are using it. We love ChatGPT because that's been our sort of learner driver, and it continues to evolve and sort of, we push the boundaries. But if you want us to talk about other tools, we do use them. Just let us know. Contact us by email or LinkedIn or however you want to contact us. Just let us know, and we will investigate, play, and report back.
And I keep coming back to the fact that I think this gives you a couple of bits of help. And that's my description. A couple of bits of help in Word and Excel. Another quick adventures with AI. Did you know that you cannot create an image of an analog watch in ChatGPT or in Copilot without the arms on the watch? Is it called arms? Facing 10 to 2.
Fingers. No, hands.
Arms and hands. Arms. You can't do it. You can't cheat the system.
Yeah, you can. This is a bit like one of those things where if you ask it to spell strawberry, it tells you it's got 58 letter
No, there is a reason behind it. All of the models have been trained on images from catalogues from manufacturers, and 99% of the time manufacturers only ever photograph their watches showing the position of 10 to 2 or 10 to 2 or 10 past 2, whatever you want to call it, because it's meant to represent a smile.
So what would happen if you created a prompt that said, do not include any promotional or commercial websites in your research, in your knowledge base?
Give it a try. Obviously, that's where your head's first gone to. I did. The watch strap was fantastic because I got it to mark its own homework and give me the prompt back. The watch strap was really detailed. It was photographic. The head was okay, but could I get it to change the position of the hands? No.
Really, really interesting.
Just a little quirky.
Not necessarily AI related, but thank you for your help this week with my inbox. It had 17,500 emails. I was sharing my screen. Lucy nearly coughed up a fur ball when she saw it.
That would give me the most horrendous heartburn and anxiety. I don't know how your eyes can even look at it.
Yeah, well, my personality style is like that. I just love the sound of a deadline whizzing by, and I'm completely chaotic. So I've been steadfastly moving 1,000 emails at a time into a folder called Not Inbox, and I'm getting on with it. And I kind of see your point. So thank you for your help. You probably felt like you were sort of helping some sort of remedial, like first-year graduate. I apologise.
No. It's just different ways of thinking, isn't it? And it's just an idea that you might not have developed on your own.
Thank you. Spotlight off me. Very much looking forward to introducing our guest of the podcast.
Yes, very much looking forward to this. The fabulous Rob Nathan. I've actually known Rob for quite a few years, although we haven't seen each other for quite a few years. Rob is the managing director now of global events, media and trade exhibition organiser Media 10, and they run some fantastic, well-established and really well-loved brands, including Ideal Home Show and Grand Designs.
Let's get him in.
Rob Nathan, MD of the fabulous exhibition organising business Media 10. Welcome to the AI Readiness Podcast.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Andrew, for having me on board. Delighted to be here.
And I'm sorry to see that it looks like you're in the doghouse.
Yes, I'm not actually at home, but I am in the office.
That's the naughty corner, is it?
Yes, this is where we send those who have digressed from the norm. We've got a few themed rooms here. There's a picture of Elvis singing to a dog. So this is sort of Elvis theme room.
For people that are listening in, Rob is sat in an office with an illuminated sign above his head that says Dog House. So that's why we have just mentioned that. Anyway, Rob, you've been part of Media 10 for some time. I just had a sneaky peek on your LinkedIn profile and spied it was over 17 years, in fact. Could you just give us a quick kind of overview of Media 10? Who are you? What do you do? And what's your role over that time?
Yeah, so the business itself started about 20 years ago, primarily as a publisher, and very quickly got involved and realised the potential of the live event space. And the first event that Media 10 ran was Grand Designs Live, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. So it's fantastic legacy. I came on board, 2007, a long time ago. I'd previously been at Haymarket, where I worked there as a marketing manager. And I met the guys here at Media 10, predominantly Lee, who is now the chairman. And we just got clicked from day one, really. And there was opportunities to expand Grand Designs and just do more. That I think they were lacking some marketing experience because they'd all come from publishing backgrounds. Exhibitions was new to them. So I came on board, ran a few Grand Designs, a few other small events. We then had the opportunity to acquire the Ideal Home Show in 2009, I think.
Big names.
Yeah, some big brands. We and that's when things started to snowball, really. We're a private business and still are. A few of the founding members still are in the business, but it's just us. There's no external backing. There's no banks. It's just us. Whatever we do at our own risk, which I think makes us quite successful and careful with how we spend our money. So I worked pretty much on every event. I was marketing director from 2010, and therefore I worked across all our events, and we expanded into Asia and launched some interior design shows. We acquired 100% Design in the UK. So we became very big in that sort of home and design fields. And subsequently, we've launched events across a manner of subjects: optical, construction. We ran the first ever exhibition in Buckingham Palace for the Queen's 70th Jubilee or 60th Jubilee. So we've done a lot. We've sold events that have been successful. Our aim isn't to sell events, but like I said, we're private. And if we can produce really good exhibitions and people see the value in them, then we'll capitalise upon that. And I was fortunate enough to be made managing director late last year. And so in that time, Lee has stepped back and become chairman, and it's enabled me to put some of the elements I think are important into events. And I've said to the team that the DNA of Media 10 will remain, but I now have an opportunity to run things on a day-to-day basis where I see fit. And probably that's where it came on to the AI literacy courses that we'd like to do, amongst a number of initiatives that I'm bringing into the business, because I see this as a new chapter, sort of a post-COVID chapter, where we'll look to improve our workforce, launch more events, potentially acquire. So that's where we are with it.
I think it's fair to say some people may not have been to Buckingham Palace, but I'm quite sure many people that will be listening to the podcast will have quite likely been to Ideal Home Show or Grand Designs. So you'll hopefully have some fans listening in. But what a fantastic journey and evolution to be part of. And as you say, to have the opportunity to take the business and the team forward further with AI now shaping the kind of future of work.
One of the things you said, Rob, was like, we haven't got a bank behind us, and we have to be kind of cautious about what money we spend. And I think that's a good kind of thing for me to highlight before I ask the next question, which is, this conversation is about AI. How long has it been on your radar, and what made you go, I'm going to do something about it now?
It's probably been on my radar as long as it's been on most other people's radars. When people started to use ChatGPT, maybe as a PR exercise, and suddenly there was that week that everyone started to log in and make accounts. And it was then that sort of the kernel of the idea came about. This is quite interesting, and I can find out and pretend I'm writing a school essay or tell me about the history of the Conservative Party. the kind of stuff that we all started off experimenting with and thinking, wow, that's really clever, but using it in a way that was probably very similar to Google, but just in a slightly flashier way. And I always then had it in my mind that I'd like to integrate it into the business, because the exhibitions business it's a number of things. It's cyclical. We run events and then 12 months later we'll run the same event. So it's not like an FMCG, which might change every day. We run on this cyclical nature. We're also quite process driven as well, that we will have operational, marketing, sales functions, finance within that division. But also one thing which has always attracted me to the industry is the creativity. So we're all of those things. We're cyclical, we're process driven, and we're creative. And my notion was that if we can spend more time on the creative side of things by freeing up time on some of the process driven things, but also utilizing AI on the creative side of things, then just by its very nature, we will become a more efficient and a more productive and more successful company. I saw it as, if I can integrate AI literacy into the business, then it will improve the output of Media 10. To what degree, it depends on those staff, and that's down to us as a business to make sure that we are using the most of it. But yeah, it's been quite a quick journey from seeing it, and I think it was fortuitous. I had spoken to our IT team and had said, can you find out if we can embed Copilot, the costs, time, efficiency? How can we do that? What does it look like? And then I think I saw a post from Lucy on LinkedIn talking about, if you're interested in learning more about Copilot, then drop us a line. And I've known Lucy from the events industry for a number of years. That's how the journey with Uptake AI started, just that serendipity. But it's not serendipity, because I think we're all thinking the same thing. And subsequently, when you post about it, or if I talk about it, you're seeing more and more people thinking, well, this is a good idea. How can I jump on to the bandwagon, for want of a better word? How can I improve my business, or individuals improve their output as freelancers or contractors? That's what I want the business to do. So it's been a very quick journey.
So it's that having that level of curiosity in terms of, it sounds like your mindset was a growth mindset in terms of, right, I believe AI can make a big difference. And it's like a perfect blend, as you said, between productivity, the process kind of side of the business, but being a springboard to support more innovation and creativity in the business. And you were right to have that level of curiosity to think, how can we do this? What's best? I'm sure there were lots of questions that came up from that. I'm wondering about concerns, because a lot of people are held back by the number of concerns within business, not perhaps able and as agile as Media 10 to be able to start the ball in motion. But I'm just wondering if you had any concerns about adopting AI.
Yeah, I think that there's the concerns that, are we suppressing individual thought? Are we suppressing creativity? Are we becoming too robotic and too process driven by adopting AI to a certain level? And then there's the ethical questions that go alongside it. So yeah, I understood all of those parts, and I see that AI will actually complement our staff. So having thought about these issues, and for me, they were never huge concerns. Always the pros far outweighed the cons to me. And maybe because Media 10 is private and we're only 100 plus staff, and we can be more agile, maybe those concerns could be allayed slightly faster than other companies. But I don't see that scale is if I'm making those decisions on this scale, I don't see that a 1,000-employee company wouldn't have the same questions and answering in the same way. It's the way you adopt. It's the way that you are utilising. It's the way you're mentoring and guiding your teams to use generative AI, rather than thinking of, well, this is now going to replace staff, or this is just going to make us a completely process-driven organisation.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing for everyone.
Not everyone is the same, and I appreciate that within a small organisation of 100 people, we will have various people with various degrees of literacy in this area. And if you multiply that to companies that are 1,000, 2,000 strong, then there will be people that will have the same concerns. And just choosing staff to to begin with, the first cohort of staff to go on programs, it was a tough decision. Who do you choose? Do you choose the commercial team because can they see the most rapid wins? Do you choose the marketing team? Do you choose the studio? So there's a number of factors that came into it, but there's never been a time when I haven't thought this is a fantastic idea for the business. It was one of the first things when I spoke to the staff after accepting the new role that I spoke about, and even before, I think I'd even spoken with Uptake AI, or even, this was sort of the day after it was announced. I'd already announced plans to improve the training, the upskilling of our staff, and I'm really excited for the staff to get going with it and to implement it as part of their days, because I think that it will make the working environment better. It will make it's not just a benefit for the business, it's a benefit for the individuals as well. We will have better individuals. And if they stay at Media 10, we'll be a better company. If they move on to other organisations, then those individuals will be served better by utilising these kinds of tools.
So you'll know as a leader, when you're thinking about implementing change of any kind, often you sort of run the marathon in your head and you're drinking your glucose thing and you've got your foil blanket on. There's people in the organisation who haven't even got their trainers on yet. So, I'm curious to know, when you said you were going to get your senior leadership team together to do a bit of exploration and sort of formulate a bit of a strategy, what kind of reactions did you get?
Overwhelmingly positive, even though, yes, there were people that were still in bed, let alone got their trainers on with it. But I'm so confident in this, and with the leadership team, and the feedback I had subsequently was fantastic. And now that's the first bit for me. That was the bit of pushing that boulder and just getting it moving. And now, once we see senior managers and the next level down in the business starting to adopt it, then we have this top-down approach to implementation. There's no doubt about it that some people just won't adopt it as quickly as others. And some people are already using generative AI. It's not a secret. It's not a hidden tool. And there'll be people listening who'll be saying, oh, we already do this anyway. But it's to the level you do it. It's the way you embed it into your business's culture. And that's what I'm determined to do, that will change the culture of Media 10 by adopting best practice across a number of disciplines, and this being one of them. So it's not just about implementing ChatGPT or Copilot onto someone's machine and saying, there you go. In the same way that if you just said to someone, we're going to embark on a sales training course, and getting someone to stand up for 8 hours and then walking out and saying, there you go, I've given you training. It doesn't work like that. There has to be a long tail to this. How we implement it, how we train, how we monitor people throughout the year, that they're using the tools. We'll give them the tools, but we can't just expect them to be able to be proficient in it, because as Andrew rightly says, there's different people at different levels.
Yeah. And it's not just a tick box exercise. And I'm also really interested in your comments about the consideration you made with who should perhaps be the first kind of cohort, or who would be best in terms of, and you're thinking, is it in terms of where the ROI would come from, in the best way, or for those that could benefit the most for the job function that they have? Because that's an interesting one. I bet a lot of other organisations are also wondering that, and I much prefer those conversations to take place versus, here you go, there's Copilot or ChatGPT, off you go, without any kind of parameters in that respect, or even communication for them to understand and appreciate why. And so you mentioned the term top down. What's the thinking behind that approach?
It goes back to what we just discussed. There's some people in every organisation that will be behind others. Some people will be more skilled in certain disciplines, and some will be behind. And when it comes to generative AI, there will be some that will be behind. And the discussion, like I said, initially my thinking was, I will start with just commercial. I'll just start with the sales teams and work that way. That would mean that certain members of the business, we have event directors, we have digital publishers, we have heads of marketing. It can't just be, okay, that's the initial gift for the sales team, and then the rest of the business, it makes it slightly lopsided. So I felt if we did a layer across the business where it's a smattering from all disciplines, but maybe the senior leaders at this point, and then we can work downwards, and then we can integrate with the commercial teams. Or we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We started off with leadership team, and that was adopted superbly, but the leadership team are going to use it. And I'm glad that a lot are using generative AI in their day-to-day business applications. But sometimes they're detached from the day-to-day running of events, as you know, Lucy, that might not be involved with data segmentation or planning or pitching to clients.
Market trends.
Yes, and so we need our teams to be. So I'm pleased that we are taking a more holistic view, top-down approach than just saying, okay, it's going to be a sales cohort. And it was done. So I want the first 25 members of my team to be all extolling the virtues of this. And I'm sure they will. And then they are saying to their teams, this is fantastic. Let me show you what we can do. And then after a while, we'll work down with some more training into more staff until eventually everyone is trained. And we have, like I said, at the end of it, we are improving output, which ultimately leads, we're a business. And the ultimate aim will be to see a healthy return on investment, which will come from more productivity, which equals more sales, more visitors, better
the flywheel.
Yeah.
What's interesting is, like, it's a new technology and it's really confusing for lots of people, but your approach is solid, right? So you're talking about classic change management. So, get your senior leadership team on the same page, then handpick a bunch of people who will be up for it, and they'll sort of like eventually become your change agents, and then kind of strategically roll out across the business. It sounds like classic, new technology adoption. So that works by the sound of it.
Well, yeah, hopefully that's the aim. And everything I've seen so far leads me to believe that this is the right decision. It's one of those times in sort of your career that come around, sadly, too infrequently, where you're really excited about an initiative that will benefit your staff. It's not often that you can say, wow, it might be the adoption of a new CRM system, which sounds, dull as anything. But, no one's going to be, wow, look at this. I can add a new record to my CRM system. But there aren't that many times where you can say, this is something that we're adopting that will change our business, and you are part of it. So, yeah, I think it is, as you said,
a great point.
To be seen as sort of classic change management, but with something that is genuinely exciting. It's exciting. For me. And also, if people in the organisation, not everyone's going to adopt this. Not everyone will be at ease with it. And going back to an earlier point about concerns, there may be some people who won't want to use it, and that's fine. That would be their choice. We're not going to impinge. We're not going to suggest that anyone will have to use it if they feel that they can put a case to me that they don't want to use it. Once they do, I want them to share the same excitement that I have.
I think that's a really amazing point. It is a fantastic time to be part of the business environment and to be supporting and driving change through technology, but a technology that is accessible to us all and that can make a massive difference to us all. So, as you say, very much unlike perhaps CRMs. But you've shared a number of really insightful things, from leadership alignment. You've talked about the considerations and questions in terms of where to start, with who, to do it in a kind of controlled way so that can almost be a blueprint. And very much I've picked up from what you've said is those senior leaders will become the champions, will be kind of evangelize the benefits to support their people. And that's how that will kind of filter down. So you've got your roadmap. I'm just wondering if there's any other MD CEOs that are listening into this podcast that might be thinking of going down the same route. Is there any advice that you think is paramount that you could share?
If they're thinking about it, adopt the same strategy that I had. Speak to experts about it. Do your own research. Map out the concerns that there may be for your organisation. Look at the size of your organisation and how this will affect it. The processes within your organisation. I'm talking from an events background, and there may be some people that are from events background tuning in, but there may be from lots of other disciplines, and they may think, how is this going to work? Obviously, it can work for all organisations that function and are dealing with sales, marketing, output, creativity, etc. So I would advise anyone who is thinking about it to think about where their end goal is, think about what they're trying to achieve. And I think for all businesses, they're trying to achieve an increase in productivity, increase in efficiency, a happier workforce, a more productive workforce. And how do we get there? And it's looking at, okay, how am I going to do this? How can I instill those virtues upon my team in a way that's exciting? They are as I just said, if we said we have a new CRM system or a new process, then or we've got a new printer. But if there's something that is just, this is gonna, yes, great, we've got a new microwave. It's things which are nice, but we want people to be able to think this is going to improve my career. So if there are leaders out there who are thinking, well, how can I improve my workforce? Research it, speak to experts such as yourself, and then look at the ways to implement that change. How can I adopt generative AI literally on my business? What's the time scale? How's it going to affect certain members of the business? Are we going to go top-down approach? Are we going to do it scattergun approach? It depends on the size and the output of the organization. But the overriding thing that I would say to any organization that does apply to, do it. Then you'll see the benefits very, very quickly.
I absolutely love the selfless comment that you made, which was, because yes, we've talked about efficiency, productivity and creativity, but you did also say this is a great skill that we want our people to have. And that is, I think, really important, because we do have, I think, a corporate social responsibility to equip our people with skills necessary for the future of work. And Rob, you're doing exactly that. You are a trailblazer, to take a ChatGPT word, and we very much look forward to continuing and supporting your journey at Media 10. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Dear Lucy, help me fix my techie heart. My life is off, I need a brand new start.
So I don't know whether to admit this, but actually, this is a real one. I mean, we we sort of we kickstarted with some examples.
Of what might people be thinking, asking, wondering?
But you do that when you start a new show. Let's be honest, folks. I've got 10 years in radio, and it's not the first time I've fabricated. Anyway, this is a legit real one. But I can't mention their name because they didn't want to rock the boat. So I'm just going to, you know who you are, right? You approached me on LinkedIn and you said, love the podcast, love the show. Quick observation and a question. I've noticed you tend to talk about leading AI adoption. Mm-hmm. What about for us lowly folk who are less senior? How do we influence the seniors to get on board? Question mark. Let's call them Sanjay.
I love the question, and they're right. We have been talking about leading AI adoption. Often it does come top down. We were just talking about that with the fabulous Rob, of course.
Some strong clues in there with that conversation, I think.
But what if you're in a bigger organisation and it's hard to be heard?
There will be somebody on the top team who is using it, right? And, it's a little bit of shame on them if they're using it themselves and not really influencing the senior leadership team. But really, it's an opportunity to build a relationship with that person and sort of offer to help out in broadening the benefit, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. You said, what about us lowly folks who are less senior? How do we influence the seniors to get on board? That kind of suggests that the seniors aren't on board. So maybe they've something's already been said or done, so we don't have that information there. But I always think the proof is in the pudding. And so if this person is already using, perhaps a few of them are in their team, as long as they have some use cases and some tangible benefits, and even better, some tangible outcomes to be able to showcase, then that's what they need to then create a little bit of noise to have that voice and be heard. And so I would first and foremost be looking at who you can collaborate with, perhaps your peers. Because if people are already using tools, as you said, would it be wrong to suggest perhaps they could just have a little mini kind of working group?
I suppose what I'm hearing is there could be lots of different ways to skin the cat, but you've just got to get in there and ask the question, start having the conversation.
And the bottom line is, if the organisation isn't getting on board, is it a company you want to be part of?
Ooh, mic drop.
That reminded me of a scene from a movie, The Bachelor Party, but we won't go there.
Alrighty, so build relationships, get cracking, show people the benefits, and whenever you're communicating the benefits, think to yourself: is this going to help market share? Is it going to help profitability? Is it going to help revenue? Is it going to help grow the business? And if what you're saying is going to do that, you're going to get more attention from the seniors.
Yes, but if the seniors aren't, and if they're not taking it on board, I think, again, listening back to what Rob was saying from Media 10, this is also about building skills necessary for the future of work. If their organisation isn't supporting that, you want to move on.
Lucy, if ChatGPT were Chinese, would you be comfortable putting all of your data in there?
All of my data, number one, is like, what? Yeah, I've got a little bit of a bugbear, I have to say, with China. I don't use TikTok for that reason. And so...
Oh, you're missing out. I love TikTok.
No, I'm sorry. I don't like I don't want to get political, but no, my confidence and trust would, and people have lots of opinions and counteraction arguments against this, I'm quite sure, but my trust would be a lot lower if it was Chinese owned versus American.
Can I have a go at answering it? So I remember a million years ago when I was running working for a large automotive manufacturer, and they started a joint venture with a Chinese organisation. And the Chinese folks rang me up and were like, can we have everything that you've got on apprenticeships, please? We just want all your documentation. And I sort of going to my boss going, is this all right? Because this is about sort of sharing commercial benefit, like, intellectual property, commercial benefit. And the answer in the organisation was just share it. Like, you're making people's lives better. So I've had sort of that experience, but I'm also kind of thinking, do I believe, that certain people talk about the Hawaii kind of debacle and that kind of stuff. So at the moment, I would be thinking to myself, I'm probably not going to put anything in that interesting, but it's a really interesting question.
Where did the question come from? Do you know something we don't know?
There's a new tool out there that everyone's going on about called DeepMind, Deep Turbo, it's cheaper, blah, blah, blah. So everyone's going to be running to it.
Right.
And it's worth sort of thinking, like, if you're putting intellectual property in there, it's long been known that the Chinese have been sort of building their capacity in that space. So it's worth having a think about.
Yes, okay. I'll think about it. Okay, question number 2.
What's one thing you couldn't live without?
Lipstick and biscuits.
When you say that, I just imagine really loads of crumbs sticking to your lips. Just walking around with crumbs all over your face.
And that's 2 things, but I'm greedy.
I would say coffee, because without coffee, there's no point in carrying on. Like you go, what about a beautiful sunset or a beautiful orchid, a beautiful piece of music? No. Coffee in the morning, or you get like a plant pot smashed over your head. Coming up in the next episode of our podcast, we've got an innovative way of figuring out what your use cases are. We sort of tried this with an organisation and it went down a bit of a hit record. We're very pleased with it. And also we'll be looking at how you can sort of blend AI discovery with making your leaders better leaders.
No one.
Absolutely nobody in the world.
No, I'm just going to say this is going to revolutionise the way people think about L&D. Leadership and development, training, upskilling, reminders, recaps, whatever, lunch and learns. I think it's hugely important, but it can get a bit repetitive.
Yeah.
You've got people in the room that think, well, I've already done that. I've been a leader for years and years and years, so why do I need it? You've got other people that think, I can't be asked. And this is going to change all of that.
We've come across an approach which basically uses a little suite of AI tools to take the training needs analysis, give it to a bunch of participants and say, you're responsible for your own learning, generate your own learning. So it's like full autonomy and accountability from day one. We'll let you know what the structure of that is, because it's pretty good in terms of cost savings, accountability, that sort of stuff. But there are some serious conditions that need to be true before it works. So it's bleeding edge stuff. We'll tell you all about it in the next episode.
And there'll be lots of more vitally interesting insights that we'll be sharing from continued client conversations, AI immersions and exploration days, and just generally having a good old crack at the tools. So we're shortcutting the process for you.
In the meantime, I'm going to go and see if I can get ChatGPT to do a watch face that says 12:30. That is my missione for the weekione.
Okay, you've got 5 minutes playtime.
Thank you. Thanks, Dad. Goodbye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Who's having the last goodbye today?
Bye.
See you next time.
Welcome to the AI.